Hey guys and gals, it's the Cannabis Crone. Thanks for joining me today. I just wanted to touch base one more time on the three island. Oh, my foot's stuck. I'm sitting in the middle of the woods as usual. Got Mr. Dude over there just sniffing around, chewing on branches. So anyway, I have said in previous podcasts that I'm on the spectrum. I've discovered I'm on the spectrum, which is probably why my executive function has been so poor my whole entire life. And in fact, I'm surprised that I've been able to run organizations and do the things that I've been able to do with such poor executive function. It's been a struggle. Um, I received flack for the last video about Three Island Park, the timber harvest, and the DNR, and I can be fragmented in my thinking. So I wrote everything down that I wanted to say, and I will show you how factually right I am, when I'm able to write it down and really process it. I'm hearing from all of these people who are buying into the Department of Natural Resources forest management propaganda, which simply means the DNR wants the public to think that without their management, nature would not be able to keep her forests and parks and public and state lands pristine and thriving without the godlike gift of our management. How egotistical is that? Which, of course, is all bullshit. I'm going to put a couple of links down here, and one link is going to be to this video. It's called, I think, The Wolves of Chernobyl. It's basically a documentary. The title is clickbait because it has, dude, don't eat it. He sounds like he's like chowing down on the wood over there. The title of the video is kind of clickbait because it says the mutated wolves of Chernobyl or something. But basically, it's a look at the exclusion zone now, 36 years after Chernobyl, where it's going to be another 20,000 years before humans can inhabit that space of the exclusion zone, and yet there's over 300 wolves there. And when the wolf population started going up, because they were almost exterminated in Russia, when the wolf population started going up in the exclusion zone, when they started to be able to live within that radioactive belt without having mutations, the mutations have been basically bred out. We're seeing healthy clans and healthy litters of pups without any mutations. And because the number of wolves have gone up, the number of beaver have gone up, the number of bison, of deer, of wild boar, and all of your beautiful birds of prey that in other areas are quite rare. So, and yet people won't be able to inhabit that zone, but it has turned into an Eden with animals that are healthy. Nature did it without the help. For 36 years, not one human was going in there forest managing. And yet, guess what? It not only survived, it thrived in spite. So one can probably say that human beings are more destructive to the environment than the worst nuclear disaster that we could imagine. It's harder to bounce back from humans. That's pretty bad. The first issue we come to is the cycle of life. When the DNR insists upon marking trees for execution, they are spray painting them with the corresponding colors to say what year they're going to be demolished. Many times this is far sooner than they would die and decay naturally. A forest depends solely upon the cycle of life and death to perpetuate. When trees are not allowed to come to their cycles and naturally, they are harvested and taken out of the forest, so their nutrient-rich bodies will never have the chance to fertilize and create a conducive environment for growing plants and fungi, nurturing insects and amphibians. We need to allow the majority of these stands to grow old so we have a healthier, more diverse forest. The second issue I want to bring up is climate change. Here in Minnesota, what happens to our trees affects the rest of the world, as does the fate of the rainforests in the Amazon. It's all the same. All of these trees are imperative to our survival. Contrary to popular belief, it's only the much older trees and forests that can make a significant difference in the amount of carbon they capture and filter from the atmosphere. It is the older forests that are much less vulnerable to climate change than younger forests, especially for carbon storage and biodiversity. A study published in Global Change Biology's 12th edition found that increased forage age reduces the climate sensitivity to forest carbon, because the older trees can absorb more of it, and the biodiversity of older forests guarantee the survival of more plentiful species. If the DNR wishes to remain relevant, they must drastically change their practices. It should no longer be about managing resources, but saving the environment. Without a healthy, sustainable environment, things will go from bad to worse. Our grandchildren and great-grandchildren will pay the price with their health and well-being for our love of the almighty dollar, even within organizations that want you to believe they have the best interests of the land, water, and humans at heart, rather than the state and local coffers. It is predicted that over the next 100 years, Minnesota's iconic boreal forests and deep snows will change into deciduous forests, with winters warm enough to exchange significant snows like we have right now to rainfall, according to a new U.S. Forest Service's assessment of the vulnerability of Minnesota forests to climate change. And again, the link will be down there. In the immortal words of Lieutenant Columbo, just one more thing. I am so sick and tired, exhausted really, of people posting comments such as, if you don't want to see forests cut down, don't use a wood stove, or don't have a bonfire, don't write on paper, or if you don't like pipelines, stop driving a car and ride a horse and buggy. If you are watching this and you have ever written or said anything remotely resembling these statements, congratulations, you are a fucking moron. We are victims of the fossil fuel industry. Get it right. I don't have access to affordable wind, solar, and geothermal. Otherwise, I would be completely off-grid and happily reducing my carbon footprint. The fossil fuel industry has taken away my freedom of choice by forcing me to use their product. Even the way we simply say energy when talking about gas and oil, but we say alternative energy when we speak of solar, wind, and geothermal. That tells you everything you need to know about how they've deliberately made any form of energy that is not gas, oil, or nuclear hard to come by for your normal, poor, working-class family. The alternative label means the more sustainable energies are fringe, not to be taken seriously, a hobby, not a career, so to speak. It is for that reason that research and development on sustainable forms of energy have been sporadic at best, thwarted as much as possible by the corporate America and their addiction to gas and oil. So, for all of you out there, gotta turn my page. For all of you out there touting the party line about how we are and always will be a fossil fuel loving nation, you are a huge part of the problem, and you're dumb. But Kat, that's mean. Why would you say they're dumb? Because there are lobbyists getting paid a shit ton of money to help spread the propaganda of big gas and oil, and y'all are doing it for free. You're selling out your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren for free. I'm going to wrap this up, but please remember, we are all guests here in this time, on this planet, in this realm we have created upon this living sentient being. So maybe just once in our miserable history as a cruel, racist, and economy-driven society, we can tell corporate America to go jump in a lake because we intend on saving our world. And the first order of business is that big gas and oil and the lumber industry need to be phased out. Oh, and for those of you saying we need wood to make furniture and houses and toothpicks, you can build a complete, sustainable house out of hemp and bamboo. Using only hemp and bamboo as building materials, you can build a complete house which will last longer than your regular stick-built house. So don't tell me how we need to use wood. We don't. We have other alternatives. We just don't put the research into streamlining this kind of technology because, well, then big gas and oil wouldn't be able to buy their condominiums and their second boat houses and their flipping, brand new cars and limos and all this shit. They are lying to us and they are killing our earth. That's the bottom line. And so we need to stand up and say no. And you know what? Again, don't tell me, oh, well, if you want to drive a car, blah, blah, blah. No, you yell at big gas and oil. You yell at the fossil fuel industry for not giving you a choice, for taking your choice away with their insidious, manipulative business practices. So anyway, I love you guys. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your Sunday. I'm going to get out on this bog and do a little exploring. And remember, we need to save our wild spaces because that's where we do our healing. Namaste.